world never saw it coming. It all started with a simple click on December 2nd, just another regular day. People scrolled through Netflix looking for something new, something to pass the time. But then, one title grabbed their attention: Sean Combs, The Reckoning. For episodes, 4 hours, what they didn't know was that this wasn't just entertainment. It was about to turn into a global revelation. By the time the series was over, the internet was no longer buzzing with excitement about a new documentary. It was reeling from the catastrophic fall of a man who had once seemed untouchable. The title Sean Combs wasn't just associated with luxury, fame, or power. It was about to become synonymous with dark secrets, manipulative control, and a life built on shattered lives. At first, The Reckoning was just another documentary, but within minutes of its release, something shifted. People weren't watching the ordinary biographical sketches of an artist's life. They were witnessing the destruction of an empire. The show didn't just tell a story, it pulled back the curtains on a world no one ever expected to see. 4 hours, viewers were faced with unsettling recordings, hidden footage from hotel hallways, and testimonies from former insiders, faces hidden, voices altered. These were people who had lived through a nightmare, but were too afraid to speak out. Until now, the world had to ask, how did this stay hidden for so long? The first episode wasn't just about storytelling, it was a timeline of destruction. Every minute was packed with evidence that felt undeniable. Secret recordings, voices on the phone, captured in the heat of the moment, full of panic, manipulation, and even more chilling, fear. This was no longer a conspiracy. It was reality unfolding before the eyes of millions. And then came the clips. Real footage. Hidden cameras captured moments that were too revealing, too real to deny. For the first time, people saw the lengths Diddy had gone to protect his image. But the footage wasn't just about revealing Diddy's secrets. It revealed a pattern, a carefully crafted mask that covered up a system of control. The documentary wasn't just about proving what everyone had heard. It was about confirming what had always been whispered about, and now it had hard evidence. By day 2, the internet was ablaze. The documentary's clips were everywhere on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and more. Hashtags trended. Hashtag Diddy Exposed was the cry of millions who couldn't believe what they had seen. But this wasn't just online outrage. This was a movement. The more viewers shared and discussed, the clearer it became. The Reckoning wasn't just entertainment, it was a legal game changer. And behind the scenes, something even more powerful was happening. Cassie Ventura's legal team had already started taking action. The evidence presented in the documentary, timestamps, phone calls, digital markers, and even private messages lined up perfectly with Cassie's previous testimony. For the first time, her team had more than just an isolated incident. They had the full blueprint, a well-documented history of abuse, manipulation, and coercion. By the afternoon of December 3rd, Cassie's legal team had sent an urgent communication to Judge Aaron Subramanian. What they had discovered wasn't just a few inconsistencies, it was a pattern that had been buried for years. What had once seemed like rumors now had irrefutable evidence. Cassie's legal team didn't just rest on the documentary itself, they connected the dots. With their previous findings, they pulled out old files, reopened sealed cases, and compared old statements with newly surfaced recordings. The more they reviewed, the more they found alignment. Dates matched, locations lined up, witnesses' stories synchronized. For the first time, the pieces of the puzzle were in place. The urgency of this discovery sent shockwaves through legal circles. The documentary had become more than just content to be debated. It was now a legal document, a piece of evidence, so compelling that the justice system could no longer ignore it. By December 4th, the story had shifted from entertainment news to hard legal analysis. Major news outlets like CNN, ABC, and Fox News scrambled to find legal experts to discuss the implications of The Reckoning. Online, the discussion was no longer focused on what was entertainment and what was fact. It had become clear that this documentary wasn't just revealing a story, it was unearthing facts that the courts had missed the first time. The public was not just shocked by what they were seeing, they were demanding action. Social media exploded with demands for justice. The conversation went from disbelief to anger. People were calling for a reassessment of Diddy's original sentence, asking how this critical evidence had been left out of the previous trial. On December 6th, the legal pressure reached a boiling point. The SDNY's press office was flooded with inquiries. Protesters gathered outside the courthouse. This was more than a legal case, it had become a movement for justice. And inside the courthouse, Judge Subramanian was now tasked with a difficult decision. The stakes had never been higher. As prosecutors reviewed the documentary's findings, something became clear. The reckoning didn't just reveal crimes, that exposed the structural system behind those crimes. This was no longer a case of isolated incidents. It was a systematic abuse of power and influence, stretching across years and affecting countless victims. By December 8th, the atmosphere surrounding the courthouse was electric. News vans lined the streets. Helicopters hovered overhead. Reporters scrambled for the latest information. And inside, the defense team prepared for what they feared would be a battle they couldn't win. As Diddy walked into the courtroom, it wasn't the superstar mogul everyone had once adored. The room was filled with tension, with every eye on him, every breath held in anticipation. His defense team was visibly tense, flipping through case files that barely had time to process. The prosecution, on the other hand, stood poised, ready to present the undeniable evidence that had surfaced in the documentary. Prosecutors began by showing the clips, the same footage that had rocked the world. But now, in a courtroom, it wasn't just entertainment. It was evidence, time-stamped, authenticated, and verified by digital forensics. The room was silent as each clip reinforced what the previous one had suggested. Diddy's behavior wasn't just erratic, it was part of an orchestrated, calculated effort to control and manipulate everyone around him. Then came the devastating comparison charts. The documentary's timeline matched the law enforcement's files with terrifying precision. Every witness statement matched, every piece of footage aligned. It was clear now. The documentary had not just exposed a few inconsistencies, it had created an irrefutable roadmap, and it was all leading to one conclusion: Diddy's original sentence was a mistake. When Judge Subramanian finally addressed the court, the gravity of his words hit like a hammer. The evidence before us has fundamentally shifted the understanding of your actions, Mr. Combs. What was once considered isolated incidents is now recognized as part of a pattern of behavior, a pattern that was not fully considered during your initial sentencing. And with that, the judge made the decision that would change everything. Effective immediately, this court elevates your sentence to life imprisonment. The air in the room seemed to freeze. Diddy's face drained of color. His hands shook violently as he processed the magnitude of what had just happened. His empire, built on manipulation and fear, had collapsed in an instant. And outside the courtroom, the world reacted with shock, disbelief, and a sense of justice finally served. Cassie's legal team, sitting quietly in the second row, watched as years of work, pain, and sacrifice led to this moment. The victims who had once feared speaking out could now hold their heads high. The reckoning wasn't just a documentary. It had rewritten the course of justice. As Diddy was led away in handcuffs, the world realized the man who had once ruled the music industry, who had danced on the line of legality and power for decades, was now facing the harshest reality of all. His empire had crumbled, his legacy tarnished, and his freedom stripped away. The reckoning wasn't just a documentary, it was the moment that justice finally caught up with a man who thought he could outrun it forever. This is more than just a story of a music mogul gone wrong. It's a story about power, abuse, and the long-awaited moment when the truth can no longer be buried. And as the world watched, one question lingered: how many more secrets are out there, waiting to be uncovered?